It is visible. Okay. Okay, fine.
You can press F5, sir, so that
Yeah, yeah, it will go to this
yeah,
presentation. Yeah,
yeah. Okay, sir. Nice, fine. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you all for bearing with me 1 hour and again going with the second session. Now, in this session, I would like to cover two things. One is what are the are concrete roads really sustainable? Green and sustainability aspects of concrete road is one thing that I'm covering. The second is what are the distresses that you are likely to get on concrete roads? What are the problems that you are likely to get, and what is the solution? In this case, for covering this topic of distress on concrete pavements, I would include both white topping as well as the normal concrete road. Both of them, in general, concrete roads, what is the distress and how we overcome on this. Of course, I always remember this. I would say one of the, the father of concrete road construction in the country, Dr. Kadiali, L.R. Kadiali. There is a book by Dr. L.R. Kadiali on highway engineering. He is no more, unfortunately, he is no more. And he was the person who initiated me into this concrete roads and white topping. I used to meet him a lot in the Indian Roads Congress meetings, IRC committee meetings, and also in whenever we executed our white topping roads in Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Jaipur, and many other places, and all that. I still remember he used to come and we used to discuss lots and lots of things. And I would always remember whenever I talk about white topping, Dr. Kadiali is one person who has influenced me very much. And currently, one of the principal scientists in CRRI, Central Road Research Institute, Dr. Vinod Kumar, is, he is there still in CRRI, and I acknowledge his help. And a lot of IRC publications. I am still a member of Indian Road Congress Committee on Rigid Pavements. Lot of discussions take place there. See, whatever that finally comes in the code, and before that, whatever lots of discussions, long discussions that take place with very, very senior people in the council, that gives a lot of insights into all this. Therefore, I'm very much indebted to this IRC. And of course, my team, whatever I am talking today and the photographs that I am showing today, uh, many of them done by our team Ultratech in various places, Bangalore, Chennai, Jaipur, Hyderabad, etc., etc. There are people who have traveled to different places, and we have captured these things. Okay. Now, what constitutes a good road? When we talk of good road, any road, bitumen or concrete road, what constitutes good road? Number one, it is serviceability, which means rapid loss that happens over a period of time. That happens generally for bitumen roads, it happens very fast. That means serviceability is low for bitumen roads, and very slow deterioration of concrete roads, simply because, concrete has been used for all types of structures, whether it is buildings or bridges and so on. In fact, its usage in roads is not so much, but then these days there has been a lot of awareness on concrete roads. That is because very slow deterioration of the material concrete compared to the material bitumen. Second is it about durability, long-term durability. Longer design life and service life is there always for concrete roads. As you have seen, 20 to 30 years is the minimum thing. In fact, whatever was constructed earlier, the Maharajas of Travancore constructed a concrete road between Trivandrum and Cochin. The coastal road in Kerala was constructed during their time. And the Maharajas of Mysore constructed a concrete road between Mysore and Bangalore. Now, these concrete roads at that time, they gave a very good service for about 50 years, 50 to 55 years, they gave very good service. After that, they deteriorated. but then we did not put one more layer of concrete on that. We converted them to bitumen roads. Bitumen roads every 2 years, 3 years, you have to put another overlay. That is always there. Cost effectiveness, yes, earlier cost comparison was not in favor of concrete roads, but now, yes. That is the reason why National Highway Authority of India and Ministry of Surface Transport and state governments and municipalities, local municipalities, they are all going in for white topping and concrete roads because of that. Because of in case of bitumen, initial cost may be slightly lower, 20% lower, but the high life cycle cost, that is very high. Whereas it is opposite in case of concrete. When we talk of sustainability, let us understand some basics of sustainability. As students, I mean, whenever we talk of sustainability, you have seen that 3 circles, the Venn diagram. This is the circle that you are all aware of. There is the social impact of any project, the economic impact, and the environmental impact. And when all of them are together, we talk about sustainability. But whereas come to any project, whether it is a road project, bridge project, or any project we talk of, the sustainability matrix is this. Actually, this sustainability should come in the third, in the central one here. Let me put it properly. Yes. Where all the 3 circles they meet, that is sustainability. Yeah. Now, sustainability Venn diagram for projects, first of all, it is the technical possibility. Whether something is technically possible. Now, white topping, the code was not there earlier. We were comparing concrete roads, which are 300 mm thick earlier. Therefore, technically, whether it is possible to do, yes, it is a possibility. Next, when technical possibility is there, then the question comes, technically something is possible, can we adopt it? Adaptation of that is the practicality of that for the given situation, whether it is urban roads, rural roads, or very high traffic roads, highways, etc., etc. Do we have the wherewithal to adapt it? That is the second question. Third and the most important question always is the commercial feasibility. Now, if you say something is technically very, very good and you can adopt it also, but it is very highly expensive, then people will not adopt it. If the cost is 100 times more, 100% more, then nobody will adopt it. Therefore, commercial feasibility is the essence. Therefore, this is called as the sustainability thing in case of any project. That means technical possibility should be there, practical adoption should be there, commercial feasibility should be there, and also as a material, it should be a sustainable material. Now, let us look at sustainability when we apply it to roads. Now, you take, have I hidden some slides? Yes, I have hidden some slides. I will just open these 2-3 slides. I think these were required. Yes. Now, for comparison, I have taken this. Now, I have taken a soil CBR of 5 and a traffic density of 150 million standard axles for heavy vehicles and a 2-lane road. And I have designed it flexible pavement. I have designed it as per IRC 37 and rigid pavement, concrete pavement is as per IRC 58. Therefore, what I get are these layers. For this, the total thickness is 770 in case of bitumen roads. It consists of the drainage layer, GSB, WMM, DBM, and finally the bitumen concrete. Total is 770 millimeters. Whereas in case of concrete road, it is a drainage layer of 150, dry lean concrete 150 plus PQC 300. Total comes to 600 millimeters. Compared to 770, the total thickness comes to 600 millimeters. Now, let us now come back to sustainability basics. Yes. After this, yes. Now, if you calculate the consumption of stone aggregates for maintenance over a period of 20-year period, I am comparing per kilometer 2-lane road, 7 meters and 1 kilometer road. In case of flexible pavement, for periodic renewal you require about 790 cubic meters of aggregates, and overlay you require 3,360 cubic meters. That means overlay every 5 years, 5, 10, 15, you require so much. Therefore, for a 20-year period, for flexible payments, you require 4,150 cubic meters of stone aggregates, that is coarse aggregates. Whereas in case of concrete pavement, whatever you have put initially, that's all. Later on, next 20 years, you don't require aggregates. Therefore, that contributes to sustainability in the construction. Construction of binder, bitumen is a binder there, which is an imported binder, whereas concrete cement is an indigenous material. Now, this is a cartoon that came in Times of India by R.K. Lakshman some years back. I think it should be more than 7, 8, 10 years back when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. See, petroleum products, they don't last for a long time. Therefore, in this, R.K. Lakshman is saying that I am preparing my car for the future to be run by a bullock, because whether petrol is available or not, I don't know. So availability of petroleum is one issue. Imported bitumen, India has only 30% bitumen produced within the country, whereas the remaining bitumen is outside, imported. Therefore, we need to be ready. That is one more issue related to sustainability. Now, let us look at the statistics and its analysis. Now, please note the footnote here. My source of information is the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. This is the 2016, one particular year's data I have taken. Now, this is the analysis of the reasons of road deterioration in the country. Why accidents happen? Number of accidents that have happened in 2016. You can see that third most important reason is the defect in concrete roads. Because of defect, people die. Accidents happen on the roads. Therefore, people die because of this. That is in 2016. Now, if you take road accidents related to the road condition, now in case of Pakka roads, it was very high. In case of Kacha roads, it was next highest, second highest. Sharp curves, the accidents were more. Speed breakers were there, that was contributing for that. Next to that is potholes. Now, potholes constitutes the fifth largest reason for accidents in the country. 6 people die and 17 get injured every day. I repeat, every day due to potholes, people die. Now, maybe sharp curves we can't avoid, potholes we can definitely avoid. Therefore, this is something that should bother us. This is something that should make us worry about. That is the reason. So these are the statistics from Ministry of Road Transport. In case of flexible pavements, because the deflection is quite large, because it is a flexible pavement, deflection is quite large. And in case of rigid pavement, the deflection is quite small because it is rigid. Because of this, there is a fuel consumption saving. Large deflections under the load in case of flexible pavements, very less in case of rigid pavements. Therefore, less fuel is consumed on rigid pavements. Global studies show that the fuel consumption in case of heavy vehicles is about 10 to 15% less on concrete highways. Now, this is a study done by CSIR also in between. CSIR has done a study. Based on this study, what they have said is saving, fuel efficiency of heavy vehicles increases by about up to 14% in case of concrete roads. Therefore, if many of our highways, if all our highways are made concrete, the annual saving only due to fuel consumption savings would be to the tune of 1,70,000 crores. That is a simple multiplication of this total number of kilometers of national highways. Now, not only during that, during the initial construction also, the fuel saving and fuel consumption is always lower. As you all know, road transport accounts for about totally 77% of the fuel consumed in the transportation sector. And the amount of fuel consumed by a vehicle is directly proportional to the amount of deflection that you have. More the deflection, more this fuel that is consumed. And several studies has pointed out that deflection by heavy vehicles consumes more this thing. Now, this is the study done by Dr. Kadiali. I said, I talked about Dr. Kadiali and CRRI, Central Road Research Institute. Now, this joint study done on flexible payments and rigid payments, they had a truck moving at a constant speed of 40 km per hour, and they calculated what is the fuel required for traversing 1 kilometer. Now, if the truck weight is 5 tons, fuel consumption per kilometer, in case of concrete roads, you require 228.77 cc of fuel, whereas asphalt requires 242.98. Therefore, the saving is 14%. 14 cc, which means 6% saving. Now, as you can see, if the truck weight is more and more, 5, 10, 10 tons, 15 ton, up to 25 ton trucks they have done, the fuel saving comes to about 15%. Therefore, we can say there is an average saving of 10%. Therefore, fuel saving increases as the vehicle load increases. This is very relevant for India particularly because our vehicle load is actually quite high. Therefore, concrete roads are not only capable of resisting very heavy loads, but also they result in a lot of fuel saving. Now, fuel consumption during construction. What is the fuel consumption that we have during construction? You consider bitumen road and concrete road. What is the fuel consumption that is required during the construction? That means for a 1 kilometer road, 7 meters, that is 2 lanes. For a height of this, quantity consumed is so much of dBm, so much of dc. Therefore, the fuel consumption that is there during construction for this, heating this and all that, it requires so many liters per cubic meter. Therefore, total fuel consumed per kilometer is 28.52 liters. Whereas total fuel consumed for concrete is 18 tons of fuel. Therefore, there is a saving during construction of the road, during the life cycle operation of the road. Both cases. All our vehicles get this advantage. So many buses and so many trucks. There is so much of reduced emission that the country can achieve. Now, This is on the assumption that all roads are concrete. But otherwise, if some roads are concrete, the point here is that even if you take 1 kilometer of bitumen road and 1 kilometer of concrete road, it is always the case that concrete roads are their emission levels are much less. There is a significant potential of reducing fuel consumption in case of concrete roads. Now, this we have seen earlier. Illumination is always better. It increases the commuter safety. Now, if you put the same number of electric poles on a concrete road and bitumen road, there is what is called as pavement albedo. Pavement albedo represents the reflectance of the surface. Because it is a black surface, reflectance is always less, whereas in case of concrete road, reflectance is much higher. 27% higher light gets reflected from concrete surface as compared to 5% from asphalt surface. Therefore, the balance, the increase, delta increase is 22%. Now, therefore, this can be interpreted in a different way also, saves on cost of lighting the streets. Now, there is a report, the Gazdan Wangim report of 1997. It is slightly older, 20 years plus. It indicates that asphalt overlays require more lights per unit length of the road to achieve the same level of illumination. There is a direct saving of 31% in the initial energy, etc., etc. This is based on the same reflectance calculations. And this is what I have already shared with you. The braking distance for concrete overlays is always less compared to the bitumen overlays. Now, this is what we are talking about, the reduced heat island effect in case of concrete roads. See, you can see here in the first small picture that is there, this is the concrete surface and this is the bitumen surface. Now, the thermal imaging that is done here, this thermal imaging is done for this surface. Now, thermal imaging shows greener patches for concrete road and red patches for bitumen roads. The reason is simple. The heat island effect is always much more in case of bitumen roads. Now, you don't require, research to do this. You try to go on a summer, midday at around noon, when the day temperature is very high. You walk barefoot on concrete road and bitumen road when the day temperature is 45 degrees Celsius. Then your legs will tell you in which case the heat effect is much more on your feet. Now, as far as energy footprint is concerned and reusability of concrete or bitumen is concerned, even there concrete roads score much better. It is because of these reasons. People say cement produces a certain amount of carbon dioxide. Yes, that is true. But then you make concrete, when you make concrete, cement constitutes hardly 10% of concrete. Remaining 90% are aggregates. Therefore, you take the contribution of cement and the contribution of all other things. Same thing you take in case of bitumen also. Now, a study conducted by Athena Institute, it highlights that, asphalt surface requires 2 to 5 times more energy than the equivalent concrete surface. That means the embodied primary energy in case of concrete is much less compared to that of asphalt. Secondly, concrete is 100% recyclable. Bitumen also to some extent is recyclable, but concrete is 100%. In fact, recycled concrete aggregates can be used once again in making of concrete. As per Bureau of Indian Standards, it can be used in plain concrete and it can be reused at the end of its ultimate life or the ultimate fatigue life. Now, as per LEED recognition, LEED, is the green rating agency. LEED, expansion of that is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It recognizes the sustainability aspects, and you can see Based on all these factors, local availability, embodied energy, embedded energy, and so on, for concrete, the rating is 61. The marks given is 61, whereas for asphalt, it is 30. Concrete is rated as intermediate green, whereas asphalt overlay is rated as not green. Therefore, concrete roads are definitely much more greener or much more sustainable because of all these reasons. It is much more sustainable. In case of concrete, as I said, you can reduce the clinker content. You can use fly ash. You can use slag. As per IRC specifications, you can use blended cements up to 35% of fly ash if blended cement is made in the factory. Whereas at site, you can add 25% percent fly ash at this site. Whereas if you use GGBS at site or in the plant, you can replace up to 50%. 50% of clinker, you can replace it with slag cement. Now, I have been continuously saying that, concrete roads are good and absolutely good and so on. Are there no problems with concrete roads? Yes, there are certain issues with concrete roads. Let me take you to that also. Number one, uh, whenever in city roads, whenever we make a new road, there are a lot of utilities under the road, whether it is electric cables, whatever. Now, people start digging. Several agencies for water supply or for sanitary or for electricity, etc., they keep on digging the roads. How to avoid digging of concrete roads? That is number one. And number two, noise is more when you are driving on concrete roads. These are the two issues. Definitely, it is an issue we have to consider. How to address these issues? Now, as I said, in Pune and other places, what they are doing is at regular intervals, when you are constructing the road, at regular intervals, you put a cross duct, right? At regular intervals, 50 meters or 100 meters, you put a cross duct so that you can take the services within these ducts. You don't have to cut that. You can go on the shoulders. Always shoulders will have paved, interlocking paver blocks, which can definitely be removed and relaid. And you can go on that. Wherever there are cross ducts, you can get into this cross ducts. Now, you can see there, if this photo is not very clear, yes, you can see here, there are cross ducts that are provided where you can access the ducts and cross the road instead of digging the road. Yes. Now, this can be done even on small roads, city roads, roads in the slums, etc. You can always have this access in the concrete roads. Another way of doing this is to provide steel grates at regular intervals. You can just remove them and access the utilities below that. Now, as far as the noise on roads is concerned, yes, when you are driving on a highway, concrete pavement highway, the noise is higher than bitumen road. Yes, in a country like India, noise is not a very important thing. You know how Indians are with respect to noise. If you still have doubt, you can see that during Diwali, nobody cares for this. But anyway, on the highway, in fact, one of the methods to reduce noise on concrete roads, when we are texturing, we talked about texturing. In India, we normally do horizontal texturing. There is another way of doing texturing. You can do longitudinal texturing. Longitudinal texturing reduces noise on roads. In fact, in America, they do longitudinal texturing. That reduces noise on roads. In India, why we do not do longitudinal texturing is because, longitudinal texturing, because the same road cycles also use the same road. Maybe it may create some discomfort for them. Therefore, we go for cross texturing, cross surface texturing. But in these days, some highways, as an experiment, they have done some few locations, some distance, they have done longitudinal texturing, and they have found that there is a reduction in noise. Reduction in noise, not total elimination of noise. Another way of reducing noise is to go in for what is called as whisper concrete or exposed aggregate concrete. Now, exposed aggregate concretes, there in that case, noise is quite reduced. In case of exposed aggregate concrete, it is not very commonly used in India, whereas in other countries in Europe and other places, they do good exposed aggregate concretes. These are the two methods in which you can through which you can reduce noise on concrete roads. Now, quality in concrete road construction. Now, how do we understand quality? Anyway, quality is always understood by looking at the distress or failure. Deficiency in design, material, construction, etc. shows up in the form of cracks or structural failures. But if the distress is noticed, correction techniques are available. There are all that we must follow is that we should follow the codes of construction, IRC 58, IRC 15, 44, 57, 62 for rural roads, 83 for maintenance, rehabilitation and retrofitting of concrete roads. In fact, I was closely associated with the last code ISSP 83, which was revised very recently. Last 2 years it was revised. If we stick to the specifications in the codes of practice, most of the problems associated with the construction can be reduced or avoided. Let us see what are, for normal traffic and low traffic, these are the codes to be followed. This I have already discussed about it in my first presentation. Now let us now go to distress on concrete roads. I have covered the sustainability part. Now, what are the distresses that we observe in concrete roads and how we can overcome that? Now, distress or repair can be classified under two heads. One is it can be the structural distress, it can be the functional distress. Structural distress and functional distress you can classify. Structural distress should be attended to immediately. Functional distress, it needs to be attended to, but then it will not affect the structural capability of concrete. Anyway, let us see both of them. What are the types of distresses and their causes? Number one, whenever you think of concrete roads, the different varieties of cracking. You can get transverse cracking, longitudinal cracking, corner breaks, durability of decracking. You can get different joint defects. It can be seal damage, spalling, and lots of surface defects you can get, map cracking or the shrinkage cracking, scaling, polished concrete, polished aggregates, etc., worn out texture, pop outs, and so on. Let us see some of these things in greater detail. Let me start with longitudinal cracking. I do not know whether Professor Swati Moitra discussed this yesterday. This was the photograph. The second photograph is from the Kharagpur National Highway, very close to, outskirts of IIT Kharagpur. When we were there on that road, Kharagpur NH Highway. This other photo, Indore bypass, is from Dr. Vinod Kumar. Now you can, in this case, there is a longitudinal cracking. There is a particular reason for that. It is not due to the material. It is because of certain behavior of the structure. This is a structural crack. So this is another thing. Now, why this happens is, we are not, see, now we are talking of concrete roads, not white topping. In white topping, it is 1 meter by 1 meter spacing. Here it is 3.5 meter by 4.5 meter. That is the panel size. Now, why these cracks appear? It is because the slabs curls up during night, and wider slabs, they curl more, and predominant curling happens along the width of the slab. And the curled up slabs, in case of that, loose aggregate or the sub-base support that is always there, and heavy axle loads, they induce flexural stress at the top of the slab in the longitudinal direction. This also happens due to top-down cracking starts due to fatigue failure under repetitive loading. Now you can see here. See, the reason here is you have the shoulders for these highways. Now, if the width of the road is say say 7 meters. Now 3.5 meter is one cut and another 3.5 is another cut, 7 meter is fine. Suppose there is an extension, shoulder stretch is also there, that makes it 9 meters. Therefore, it will come to 3.5 plus 3.5 plus 2. Now, if this plus 2 is there, that will make, longer spacing. Therefore, it is towards the outer edge that you will normally see this longitudinal cracks. Now, at this shoulders where, 3.5 plus 3.5, wherever the cut is made, a core was taken. And this was the pattern that the core behaved. Why did it behave like this? You can see we expect cracks to come just below the cores, but the cracks did not come here. Cracks came about 2 meters away from this. Therefore, this shows that the structural action due to this cutting of these panels, that was not acting properly. Therefore, what is suggested by IRC, it will come in the next revision of IRC, is that whenever we have these extended shoulders, the cutting should be, first 3.5 is all right. Next thing should be 2.5 plus 2.5. That is 5 plus 3.5. That will make the total thing. Instead of leaving it as a short paneled thing, the edge should not be left as a 2 meter width span. It should be equally spaced. That is the point in case of this longitudinal spacing. Now, sometimes you get vibratory trails like this. Whenever the paver machine moves, it creates some vibratory trails. Why this happens is because the vibrators that are there, paver vibrators, generally, say what is required is the vibration frequency is required between 5,000 to 8,000 RPM. Now, suppose if the person who is operating it is not very knowledgeable, suppose he goes to frequencies like 10,000, 12,000 RPM, vibrations per minute, then the mix gets over consolidated. That causes non-uniform dispersion of aggregates, and therefore you will see this longitudinal trails. Therefore, the simplest way to avoid this is to keep these vibrations frequencies at around 8,000, less than 8,000 vibrations per minute. So otherwise, these vibratory trails can be avoided if you control the vibrations per minute. The other types of distresses, other than these longitudinal cracks and vibrations, are the blow-ups, faulting of transverse joints, etc. Each one of that we will see in this next slides. Let us go to surface defects now. Now, the surface defects are not structural, they are functional. Say, for example, map cracking or plastic shrinkage cracks. This is very common in case of concrete pavements. Why it occurs? It is because the water cement ratio is very low and admixtures are there. That low water cement ratio, when the concrete panel is subjected to either high wind pressure or the high temperature, day temperature, it evaporates the surface water of concrete, and that leaves these cracks. And these cracks are all very random cracks or map cracks. There is nothing like, spacing of this regular fissure or whatever. Now, that is why it happens. Therefore, what is the best way to avoid it? I have already shown in my previous presentation. The best way to avoid is either cover it with a plastic sheet for 1 day, 24 hours, or you spray curing compounds. If you spray curing compounds, what are these curing compounds? They are all, basically, they are all, what is this? The aluminum based compounds, wax based compounds. These wax based compounds, many of them are available in the market. You spray it on the surface. It creates a wax layer on the surface of the road. So it creates a wax surface. Water will not evaporate for 24 hours. And this map cracking or plastic shrinkage cracking will not come after 24 hours. Therefore, First 24 hours, it is very essential to maintain the quality of concrete. Either cover it with plastic sheet or spray this curing compounds that will ensure that this surface cracks will not come. Now, this is how it looks like, surface shrinkage cracks. Sometimes you may have scaling. Uh, uh, that is, if finer materials are there at the top, if I showed you earlier that there should be no segregation, no bleeding. If there is segregation, coarse aggregates settle at the bottom, finer particles come to the top, and they erode what is called as scaling. That is called as scaling. It may appear like this. If your concrete is cohesive, you will not get this kind of scaling. Now, if finer aggregates go off, you will get what is called as a polished surface. Now, this polished surface, it exposes the aggregates. Now, these exposed aggregates or polished aggregates, you will see the effect like this. Now, this happens due to ineffective curing before we do ponding or very high water cement ratio. Now, you can see one part of the road is good, the other part of the road is a problem. Therefore, concrete was probably of the same this thing, but then high water cement ratio was there. Therefore, that was a different batch of concrete with different properties. Therefore, you face this problem. Now, pop outs like this. Why do they come? Suppose when you are pouring concrete on the bitumen road, if you have not cleaned it properly, if there is some organic material or something on the road and you pour concrete on that, or when the concrete is green, it gets mixed with soil or some organic material. After some time, it comes out and you will see this kind of pop outs. This is one problem that needs to be filled later on. Pop outs. Why this happens in case of concrete? Because initially fresh concrete is very soft. Once you lay concrete and do texturing and all that, you should ensure that nobody walks on the roads. Nobody should walk or cross the roads. But unfortunately, in India, it is very difficult. Maybe, without knowing, dogs can run across the roads because dogs do not know the properties of concrete, fresh concrete, hardened concrete, etc. Dogs can cross the road, but humans also do that. That is a problem. People think that they should leave a footprint of their life somewhere, but it better on a concrete road. Therefore, their footmarks are always there. So this after the concrete hardens, this will remain. That creates the pop-outs. Now, how to correct that? It is possible to correct. I'll show you. Now, let me again come back to this cracks in concrete pavement, how to treat. Now, cracks can appear in concrete in 3 stages. One is in the fresh state, another is in the plastic state, another is in the hardened state. Now, in the fresh state, it can occur due to operational reasons, concrete mix related reasons, and maybe due to loose edges. Whereas in thermal shrinkage cracks, thermal state, it can be a thermal shrinkage or a plastic shrinkage, or it can be a hard state also due to the internal stress distribution, it can happen. Now, concrete in the fresh state, operational reasons, maybe due to paver it may happen, maybe due to the texturing machine it can happen, and manual intervention also sometimes it can happen. Whereas in the concrete mix related, it can happen due to variation in concrete or higher slump content, or lower slump also can create this kind of thing. In case of high dosage of OPC, if you use 450 kgs of only OPC, the heat of hydration in concrete also can contribute to higher amount of cracks. Then finally, loose edges. In case of slip form pavers, this can happen. Concretes parallel to the edges, it can happen. Only in case when you use slip form pavers. Now, this shows the effect of poor slump control. Now, if it is in fresh state, as I said, if you get cracks, you can refinish this with cement slurry mixed cement slurry and a thick cement slurry, you can finish, retrowel or refinish the surface. You can correct these cracks if the concrete is in the fresh state. This is the method of doing this. These are the repair techniques. In case there are pop-outs and this organic materials that you had, etc. There are good materials that are available today. Polymer concrete, epoxy, liquid epoxy, etc., etc. Epoxy mortar, cement concrete, etc. These are all the different materials that are available. One second. Yeah, as I told you, placing a plastic sheet will serve most of the purpose, or spraying this curing compound, that also helps in avoiding this plastic shrinkage cracks. Now the procedure is clean it with a wire brush, pour a low viscosity epoxy resin into the crack, and then sprinkle fine sand over that. That is how you do it. So now here you can see, clean it with a wire brush, put a low viscosity epoxy, and put it sand into it. That will ensure that the cracks don't propagate. Sand sprinkled over this. But then you will be seeing some marks here. That doesn't matter. Of course, it may give a bad optics, but then road performs perfectly fine. If the cracks are wider, there are a lot of epoxies that are available today. Take these epoxies and slightly widen the cracks so that, if the width of cracks is less than half an inch, widen it to 1 inch so that you can put these epoxies and finish it the way it is done here. Now, sometimes it so happens that grinding surface texture will go away after some time. This surface texture will not be there after some time. It will become very smooth. Therefore, you have the diamond grinding machine. After 5 years, the life of concrete road is 20 years, but then you can grind it again, retexture it again using this surface grinding machine, diamond grinding machine. This is how they are doing it. You can see that here. Now, if you have a crack, sealing a crack with a sealant. This is the sketch of that. Put a sealant and then seal the crack, particularly if it is happening in the joints. Now, if there is a spalling, as you can see here, if there is a surface spalling, you should always make it rectangular. When it spalls, it will not always be rectangular, but while repairing, you should make it rectangular in plan as well as in elevation. That means in the elevation also, if the thickness is very less, you should cut it as 25 mm thick. Now this is what you can see. This was the spalling that had occurred, but cut it as a rectangular patch here, just the way you do it in case of bitumen pavement. And here also cut it into a depth of 25 mm so that 1 inch depth is there, so that you can put the epoxies or grouts. Today you get a lot of grouts, and you can correct this. This is how it is being done. Make it into a rectangle, put concrete grout into it. There are a lot of materials that are available. Even these foot marks or pop-outs due to foot marks, they also should be made rectangle, and then they should be repaired. Now this pop-out, make it into a rectangle as it is shown in the figure. You have a lot of materials. Even Ultratech also has got a material called power grout. This power grout, if you put it into this material, as you can see here, you cut it as a rectangle and then put it, and this has a property of getting 40 MPa of strength, not after 28 days. 40 MPa of strength in 24 hours. That is 1 day strength. You get so much, so that it can be open to traffic. Now, earlier you have heard of stitching the cloths. If there is a crack, you stitch the cloths. Very similar to that, you can stitch the pavement also. If there is a crack, full depth crack like this, what is done is, you make a groove at some 30 degrees angle to the horizontal. make a groove like this across this crack and insert a bar and fill epoxy resin into this as an adhesive. Now, this can be, you can put a 16 mm or a 20 mm, a 12 mm rod also is more than sufficient. 12 mm rod, tie bar rod, same thing you can add, and you can grout it with epoxy resin as an adhesive. That will ensure that these cracks are closed and that will not give any further problem. You can see that once that is done, on either side it is done and it is filled, and this is a finished surface. Now this is how it looks after the cross stitching of the longitudinal crack is done. This is how it looks like. This is a diagonal crack that is cross stitched. This is a stitched slab. Now performance is perfect. Only thing is that you may see that mark there, color difference there, that is okay. But then the pavement performance is established, is restored. Now another way of doing is stapling. The way we do stapler, here we do a stapling with respect to by using again a 16 mm bar. You can see the top 25 mm is removed, and you put a steel staple, a steel bar of say 2 feet wide and then 2 feet in length and 16 mm bar, and put a resin mortar into this and fill it with a groove at the top. That is a stapling that will ensure that the cracks are done. So you can see that it is a staple that is put below. You are seeing that, and above that, close it with mortar. The polymer mortar or the grout, epoxy grout. This is how it looks like after the repair is done. Now these are all for the different varieties of cracks, structural cracks as well as non-structural cracks. Now, in case of concrete roads, some of you asked about these dowel bars. Now, yes, if the depth of concrete is more than, thickness is more than 200 mm, you have to have dowel bars. But dowel bars have to be provided properly. You can see here in the first photograph, dowel bars are provided perfect and proper. Whereas in the second case, you can see dowel bars are not provided properly. The point that I am trying to make is dowel bar misalignment is more horrible than not providing dowel bars. What I would say is that dowel bars are very essential. Provide dowel bars properly. I repeat, properly. Instead of providing improper dowel bars, if somebody asks me a question, shall I drop providing dowel bars? That is better than providing dowel bars improperly, right? I hope I am making my statement clear. You must provide dowel bars properly. Next to that, I don't say don't provide at all, better to provide them properly. Now, maybe one of the last few slides, if it is a full depth crack repair, then take out the entire depth, you take it out and then repair. So this is how it is taken out, full depth repair. It is done, and it is cutting and removing of concrete for the full depth, as you can see there. Then drilling of holes for inserting dowels. And once the dowel bars are inserted like this, pour concrete into that patch. And above that, on that, you do brooming of this patch, curing compound spray, and so on. Now, these are the different ways of overcoming repairs, different kinds of repairs in concrete roads. Now, I was talking to you, there was one question on precast concrete pavement. Very briefly, I'm covering that also here. Precast, pre-stressed precast concrete pavement is a solution for most of these problems of distress in concrete. Many of these can be avoided if the concrete is done in the factory itself. Factory made product is always better than the site made product. Therefore, see, this is a new experiment in India. There is only one road that is done in Nagpur. We have tied up with VNIT Nagpur, and this road for about 400 meters, this work is already completed with M40 concrete. With PWD, we have worked very closely with them to make this concrete. Some more photographs, I think, must be there or not there in this. Okay, not in this presentation. It is in some other presentation. Okay. The great advantage of this is that, concrete, precast concrete panels of 3.5 by 4.5, they were made at the factory. They were brought to the site. They were placed one by the side of the other. They were jointed, and then even the dowels bars were present. They were placed one, exactly one by the side of the other wherever dowel bars were there, and the joints were all grouted at site. So site construction is only grouting, nothing more than that. Now you may ask the question, because of the use of grouts and all that, will this be more expensive? But then let me tell you, because this was designed as precast unit, the thickness was less. If it is a site mixed concrete, the thickness would be 280 mm or so. Whereas for this precast, pre-stressed concrete, the thickness was only 200 mm. Therefore, there was good saving of the material there, and therefore that was balanced with the use of grouts and things like that, hoisting equipments, etc. in the thing. Now, the great advantage of this is that you can open the road for traffic very fast. This was done in a very congested area. Even reaching this area was a problem. Therefore, it took few days for the construction of this and opening it for traffic. Otherwise, if it is a free area, you can do this work at night, and the next morning it can be open to traffic, because concrete is already cured and it already has its strength, and the grouts require hardly few hours of curing. Therefore, that is good enough. That is about the first precast concrete pavement in India, that is in Nagpur. So friends, with this, I am coming to the end of this presentation. My concluding remarks: concrete can help much more to achieve real sustainable development. I have explained to you why it is so. Concrete is more than a structural product, can be used for many, many applications, not only for buildings, bridges, but also for roads. That is because concrete has incredible design versatility and lot of flexibility in the design and construction. It bestows environmental benefits, economic benefits, and social and quality of life benefits. I am fond of saying this every time. Concrete is a democratic material. You may wonder, what is it I am talking? Concrete as a material and democracy. I'm comparing the two. How can these two be compared? Yes, they have few things in common. Like democracy, where everybody can participate in democracy, concrete also can be made by anybody. See, who is making concrete in India? Skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, all sorts of people are making concrete. Therefore, concrete can be made by anybody, not necessary that an engineer should make concrete. And it endures, and it is a very tolerant material, like democracy. Democracy is very tolerant. And like democracy, many times or most of the times, it is used well. Sometimes it is misused. Sometimes it is abused, like democracy. And only when it is abused, it hits back. And sometimes abused. And in case concrete is abused, you will see the collapse of the structure, like democracy collapse. And last sentence is that, please remember, concrete is an unforgiving material. You do a good job, it will give an excellent service, and you do something bad, it will not forgive you. It will give enough precautions, and with all that you still do something, it will not forgive you. Fine. Therefore, with this, friends, I close my presentation. I have taken more time than required. Concrete roads are always the best. I am not saying this because I come from Ultratech. It is not so. I have learned a lot of this concrete road technology from Dr. Kadiali and CRRI and IRC, and that is the reason why concrete roads are becoming popular in our country. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. Really, you have thrown a lot of light on concrete pavement. And many of us also, some of things like the repair of concrete, especially like stitching, stapling, these are all new techniques. So these are all not available even in the books. And
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely people will take and even in case of the research also, these are the many topics are there. So they can work on this one, and even in case of, let's say, stitching techniques. So what is the angle that bar to be provided, and what will the problems, how it will again in the this performance or the type, all those things can be studied.
Yeah.
And so now I request, sir, I request my colleague Mr. Chaitanya to provide concluding remarks. Already, of course, sir has concluded and already provided the remarks, but however, just I'll request Chaitanya to provide concluding remarks.
Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon.
So, good afternoon, sir. Sir, presentation. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir started the presentation with the factors considered to be for a good road, and then Sir thrown some light on about the sustainability basics along with the comparison of flexible and rigid payment. Later on, Sir discussed about that different options available for the sustainable payments. In his presentation, Sir explained each and every concept that related to sustainability in a very detailed manner. And after the discussion of sustainability payments, Sir not only discussed about that advantage of CC payments, but also addressed the few issues that related to the concrete payments, just like digging of a road, noise, etc., and the remedies that to be followed for reducing these type of disadvantages. In further, Sir mentioned about the quality checks that are required for that are required in road construction, along with the guidelines. In the final part of presentation, Sir covered distress of concrete roads and their repair methods extensively. So, in a nutshell, it's a very valuable and thought-provoking presentation, sir. On behalf of Department of Civil Engineering, I thank you for your wonderful presentation, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, can I provide your email ID to participants? Sir, they have some questions. Even later on, also they
Yeah.
can talk.
Yeah. Sure. You can give my email ID. Yeah.
Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very
Participants,
much. And
yeah.
that was an excellent thing. And I like this question.